Let's see. This one.
Oh,
Is that cool?
so.
So. Okay. So, you want to build buildings or art or what? Buildings. Okay. All right. Cool. What's your name?
My name is Lloyd.
Lloyd. Okay. And what do you study?
Architecture.
Are you in your second year?
Yeah.
Okay. And why did you choose architecture?
My interest.
It's your
I
interest.
love design.
You love design. And what do you want to make in the future?
My house is strange. Cool building.
Cool. Okay. So you want to build people's homes?
Yeah.
Okay. I see. All right. So today, what I prepared is a video about philosophy. Do you guys know what philosophy is? Okay, philosophy is the study of thinking and questions. So philosophers will ask things like, what is truth? Or what is a good life? Or what is happiness, right? Things like that. And the video that I would like to show you is about a philosopher from ancient Greece. A philosopher from ancient Greece called Epicurus. I don't know if you heard of him before. Do you know this person? This one. You know this?
No.
Never heard of it? Okay. So, basically, he talks about like, why is this full screen? So, he talks about how to have a good life, basically. Epicurus was from ancient Greece. He lived in like 300 BC, so we're in 2000 now. So he was alive maybe more than 2,000 years ago. And he wrote 300 books in his time, but because of war and other things, we lost all of his ideas, most of them. So we have some pieces of his ideas, but not many. And this episode, this TV show, is hosted by a guy called Alain de Botton. He has a philosophy degree from Oxford University, and he does TV shows about philosophy. And so he's going to, the show is about him taking ideas from Epicurus and looking at life today and how we can learn something about being happy from this ancient philosophy, okay? If you guys don't understand something, you can raise your hand. I'll stop the video and you can ask a question. I would like for you to understand. So usually I can guess what is difficult and not for students to understand, but sometimes I don't know. So if you really aren't sure if you don't understand, just raise your hand and ask a question. It's okay. So from time to time, I'm going to stop and just check to see if you understand what's happening, and then at the end of the video, we're going to do like some activities and talk and stuff. Okay? All right.
Ever since ancient times, human beings have looked to philosophy for the secret of happiness. But few philosophers have come up with more suggestive or more relevant answers than one born on the Greek island of Samos, off the coast of modern Turkey, 341 years before the birth of Christ. His name was Epicurus. Very little about him has survived. All of his books have been lost across the centuries, leaving his philosophy of happiness to be reconstructed from just a few fragments. Epicurus believed that we could all find a way to be happy. The problem was, quite simply, that we were looking in the wrong place. Unlike many philosophers, Epicurus' idea of happiness actually sounds rather fun. He didn't think we should feel guilty about wanting to have a pleasurable, enjoyable life, and promised that he could show us how to. Of course, you might wonder why you need a philosopher at all to teach you how to have a good time.
We seem to think that the key to happiness is really pretty easy. It's all about having a lot of money. So we can come to places like this and go shopping.
But before we reach for our wallets, Epicurus wanted us to stop and think. It's easy to imagine that money can solve everything, but can it?
Alright, so far so good? Do you guys understand what's happening so far? Yes, no? Yes, no? Okay, so he is introducing Epicurus, right? He's saying, like, why do people ask philosophers how to be happy? And so Epicurus has an answer, and it's different from what you will see today, right? If you ask people, how can you be happy, what will the answer usually be? If you have money, you can be happy, right? You hear this all the time, and you see a lot of movies and TV shows about rich people who are really happy and having amazing times, right? So he does not agree that his idea is different. Okay, so so far that's it. So
Epicurus was committed to a life of happiness. He liked sex, laughter, and beauty, but crucially spent his time pointing out that happiness is in fact rather a tricky issue. And a philosopher might help you to find it more easily than a credit card ever could. That Epicurus was in favour of pleasure at all shocked many of his ancient Greek contemporaries. His philosophy became synonymous with a lotus-eating lifestyle.
So he's saying that Epicurus, at the time when he was alive, he shocked many people because he believed that a good life was a life full of pleasure. So, do you guys understand the word pleasure? It's like things that make you feel good, right? So what gives you guys pleasure? Good food, right? Good drinks, or you know, I don't know. There could be so many things. So for Epicurus, the idea was a good life is a life full of pleasure. So good feelings, or like enjoyment. So to him, if you're enjoying your life, it's a good life. And he didn't, a lot of the people at that time didn't think like this. They thought like the way to have a good life is to work hard and to be strong and, you know, so many other things. But for Epicurus, it was about enjoyment and enjoying your life. And he thought that you do not need to feel bad when you enjoy your life. When you do things that make you happy and give you pleasure, it's not a reason to feel bad. It's a good thing. Okay.
To this day, people who love luxurious eating and drinking can sometimes be described as Epicurean. In fact, that's a complete misunderstanding.
Epicurus said that pleasure was the most important thing in life, and yet if we actually look at the way that he lived, It seemed he led far from a luxurious life. His house was very simple, his clothes were extremely basic, he always drank water rather than wine, he found fish much too expensive, and he was happy just eating meals with bread, vegetables, and a few olives. And he once asked a friend, "Send me a pot of cheese so that I can have a feast whenever I like." These were the kinds of tastes of a man who described pleasure as the end of life.